So Saber just hit us with a long-awaited community update for Space Marine 2, but it might wind up a bit underwhelming depending on how you like to play the game. We're going to hit the high points like normal. Link to the post is in the description down there if you want to scour every word, because, well, if my YouTube analytics are to be believed, I'm fairly certain a majority of you can read. Anyhow, I sat on this overnight just to sort of collect my own thoughts on it and not contribute to the overly emotional, reaction-y clickbait content. So, high points. We have some expansions to the Year 1 battle plan. This includes things like the Data Vault, new PvP arena, the Biovore we saw teased after LVO. Unfortunately, that's all we're going to get this next patch. Later on, there's new PvE missions, things like that. But working with what we've got with 6.0, we have a new PvP map. I imagine PvP players are stoked, because I don't think there's been any new ones since release. Now, this isn't my cup of tea. Again, as I've mentioned before, trauma from original Gears of War shotguns and corners. Maybe I'll take a look at it. I don't know. So we have the Biovore. I had initially assumed that this was going to come with, a new operation. That looks like it's not the case. It seems to be a new extremis enemy that can spawn in place of, the others. So now we have Carnifex, Neurothrope, and Biovore. So we've got an oops, all spore mines extremis to deal with now. We'll see how that goes. A couple new announcements and clarification on the chapters and champions. So we've got the Salamander's champion coming in as the sniper. Well, it's a good thing we're not fighting Eldar. And the entirety of the Raven Guard pack, which comes with the standard beaky helmets. So, I suppose people who are Raven Guard fans can, continue the pattern they do in real life and let everybody in-game know that they're the quiet, broody person who shows up to the party, sits in the corner, doesn't talk to anybody, and then leaves without anyone really noticing they were even there. Up next, we got the Data Vault, which, based on their description here, seems like it's a combination cosmetics and codex thingy that you can earn through ordeals throughout your gameplay for special achievements. Think of this like your Oath of Moment or Purity Seal. We'll see how cool this actually winds up being. Then we've got the perk rework they're talking about that was originally mentioned back, I think, in the November community update. So here we have patch 6.0. This is where they were talking about reworking some of the underperforming or just flat out bugged perks for all of the classes. We'll see how much this actually fixes or what winds up getting surprisingly broken. Further, the weapon rebalance that was talked about in that same November community update is still slated for patch 7.0. So we do still have to operate within the paradigm of shooting marshmallows with several of our guns. Personally, I would have preferred them flip the order and do the weapon rebalance first and then the perk rebalance, but we'll take what we can get. We'll see how much more effective or potentially opening up more build variety for each of the classes the perk rework actually creates. Now we have a big one. Finally, we get an FOV slider for PC without having to use a mod. This just seems like a standard quality of life thing. You can scroll through and check examples on various aspect ratios for your ultra-wide crew, people still on 16:9, etc. Check it out. Look at the possible differences, see how much you're going to wind up tweaking it. Of note, anytime you increase your FOV in a game, you're also going to impact your performance. It's just because of the amount of things all rendering at once, so you may need to tinker with this to find something that still retains a decent amount of performance versus, actually seeing what's going on. After that, we have some new finishers for Zoes, Scarabs, and Rubrics. Cool. And perhaps, weirdly buried down here at the end, we have them talking about being able to upgrade our Mastercrafted and Artificer Armory data up to Relic by trading them. Now, the conversion ratio from one to the other, we'll see how that winds up being and the level of grind needed there, but it's nice to have something to do with all of that currency. You can also sell Armory data for requisition points if for some reason you're still starved on that. or I suppose if you're brand new. Extra cosmetics attached to the new difficulty that they're talking about, which is absolute difficulty. Now, hopefully, they do more creative things with making this difficulty meaningful, as opposed to just jacking up the health and damage of enemies, or also continuing to pare down our parry and dodge windows like they already do based on difficulty. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, worst case scenario, we wind up with oops, all zoanthropes, which, now that I say that out loud, sounds awful. But cosmetic rewards, you've got a bloodstained knife, as well as the shoulder pauldron from the 10th edition Leviathan box. Cool. Extra decals, ability to share skins between PvP and PvE modes if you're into Fashion Frame. Fashion Frame. Wrong game, Squid. Fashion Legion? I don't know, I gotta workshop that one. You can crossplay toggle on PvP now, so if you're on console, you don't have to play with PC players. Cool, I guess. I'm not sure what the overall player pool is for PvP, so this might actually wind up significantly extending your wait time for matches. We'll see. And we got some new emotes. Cool. And that wraps it up. So, whenever the patch does hit, we'll be taking a look at all of the new perks and seeing what sort of new shenanigans we can get up to with interactions. But before we even do that, we need to double check that all those perks actually work. So, there we go. As always, if you want to dig into the notes with a bit more detail, links down there. Check it out. Whenever we get the patch, we're going to be spending a lot of time in operations, or at least loading into one, shooting one thing, or testing a perk, and then dying and doing that, because we still don't have a training dummy. Anyhow, I've been Bald Squid. Catch y'all next time.